looks like we're going. So, yep, I think we're ready to go.
Okay, good afternoon, Realtor family. This is Lester Sanders, your president for Kentucky Realtors. And we are continuing to give Realtors what you need right now as we cross the bridge into our new normal. And we have a wonderful task force that will discuss the importance of Realtors leading and caring for your family, friends, and community to continue to lift as we climb. Why do we do that? We do that, of course, because we know who we are. As we talked about all the things that Realtors needed right now, one thing was missing, and that was, what can we do for ourselves? What can we do for our families, for our friends that are around us to deal with the stress of this pandemic? It can cause depression, cause relationships to suffer, definitely takes a hit on finance. And how do these sudden changes affect individuals and communities? So in doing so, we thought about this committee bringing experts together to help us figure out how to get through this situation. And I'm pleased to have the honor of introducing this panel. And the subject for today that we're covering is taking care of you, your loved ones, through mental and physical wellness. Our first panelist, Karen Butcher, is a former teacher, and she is a sales consultant, corporate trainer, whose career journey led her to coaching. And she works with people to overcome fears, find their courage, and live with purpose and passion. Thank you for being with us, Karen. Jacqueline Klein, a certified hypnotist and a member of the National Guild of Hypnotists. She assists people suffering from stress and anxiety and is uniquely positioned to understand the way that Realtors experience stress and the challenges that a career in real estate brings to their extended families. And she is an owner of Parker Klein Real Estate here in Louisville, Kentucky. And then we have our nutritionist and registered dietitian, Marilyn Stevens, who spent over 30 years in public health and the private sector, and she's a health and wellness consultant. And Marilyn has worked with people who range from individuals seeking to live a healthier lifestyle to collegiate athletic teams who are seeking higher performance for their athletes. And she will address the importance of paying attention to good nutrition during stressful times. Daryl Turpin joins us today as well. He has his master's in public administration. He is a certified alcohol and drug abuse counselor, a licensed mental health counselor as well, and is a senior behavior research lead with the Pinwheel Group. He will discuss tips for coping with stress, anxiety, and uncertainty during this pandemic. And he also outlined how to take care of yourself, your family, and friends to help with stress, and how helping others deal with stress actually builds stronger communities. And then we have Dr. Blake Jones. Dr. Jones is a licensed clinical social worker as well, and is a faculty member at the University of Kentucky in the College of Social Work. He teaches graduate students in the College of Clinical Track and has published numerous articles on child welfare issues, pedagogy, and suicide exposure. Dr. Jones is also a therapist at Georgetown Counseling Services, where he specializes in working with police officers, firefighters, correction officers, and other first responders to help protect themselves from traumatic stress. Thank you, distinguished panel. I turn it over to our moderator, Lamont Breland.
Thank you, Lester, and thank you, Realtors, for tuning in today. It's great to have you all here, as always, and thank you to our panel. So, Lester, I think you covered, kind of where we are right now, and it is not easy. It's ever changing, and we have my family. We just had our 1-year-old granddaughter. We had a drive-by birthday party for her. Hard not to cheat. My wife cheated a little bit, but not too much. And we have these weekly family Zoom calls with the extended family. Now that we've done those so many times, those are starting to get stressful and dramatic. So it's always something new. So Dr. Jones, I'll start with you. What are you seeing in the university setting and in your counseling and all of that type of thing right now?
Well, thank you, Lamont, and thanks to everybody for joining us this afternoon. I want to give some just general thoughts about what's going on in our world here, and then a little bit later, I'll specifically focus on the work that I do with first responders. And I think about that very widely. So if you are in a relationship with a police officer, a nurse, firefighter, corrections officer, or if you have a family member where that applies to them, I think my comments might be helpful to you today. I hope they will. I first of all want to thank you for your profession. I've been in my new house for 6 weeks, and my realtor was awesome. She's amazing. Her name's Katie Fiola here in Lexington, and she was just wonderful. And so I appreciate what you do. I know it's hard. I'm going to talk a little bit about self-care, and I think for your profession especially, it's super important that you do that. When I think of this pandemic, I think that we are in a kind of an existential crisis in our world, really. Things here at UK are changing. We are going fully online for the summer. It wouldn't surprise me if we are fully online for the fall as well. My therapy practice is completely online now, which is difficult to say the least for us and for our clients. And so this leads, I think, to a feeling of kind of chaos and being out of control, which then spikes our anxiety, our depression. I sent Lamont a picture that I'd like for him to put up if he would. Somebody sent this to me a few weeks ago about the different phases of dealing with this pandemic. And I'd like for you to take a look at it and just kind I where you are, which zone you're in. At the beginning of this, I certainly fell into that fear zone of, I watched way too much news. I consumed a lot of news. I consumed a lot of social media. And as this has gone by, I've really worked hard on moving out of that place of fear and into more of a learning and a growth zone, which I'm sure the other panelists will talk about. But in anxiety and depression, it's important to take some action. And so some specific steps that I'll talk about, and then again, I'll talk more specifically about first responders later. I think it's real important to develop a routine. And again, I'm speaking for myself. These are things that have been helpful to me, not just as a therapist, but just as a person trying to live through this. Control your consumption of news and social media. Again, when this first started, every hour I was on, looking at how many deaths there were and what was happening. And it was extremely stressful and anxiety provoking. I would encourage you to look for the good in your day. I have a friend named Ron, and, if you get on Facebook, a lot of people, and now it's about, masks and just a lot of negativity about everything. My friend Ron, every day he posts something positive. Yesterday he posted a story about a woman who was 101, who had COVID. She beat it. She lived through the Spanish flu in 1918, was born during that time, around that time, and then lived through that, lived through everything last century, lived through COVID. And just watching him post those things is very encouraging to me. So find something good in your day that you can kind of focus on and be positive about. Exercise is really important. I'm sure our other panelists will talk about this. Shameless plug, but counseling can be very important. It can be a place where you can confidentially process what's going on with you. You don't have to be that person on the billboard or wherever you're at. You can just be who you are. And then the final thing I'll mention is unplugging. I mentioned my realtor, Katie, and a few weeks ago, we were, all this stuff was happening, and it was like 9 o'clock on a Sunday night, and I texted her and I said, I'm so sorry to do this. Please answer this tomorrow. I asked her a question. And she said, no problem. Realtors, we work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And we kind of talked about that. But I encourage you to unplug and to find some time of stillness and peace in your life. So I'll stop there.
Good. That's very good. Thank you, Blake, we appreciate that. And we'll come back to you here in a bit. Let's switch it over a little bit. Karen Butcher, how are you doing? Everything good?
Great.
And,
Thank you.
yeah, see you right now.
Well, I'll tell you just a little bit more about me. I think it said in my introduction, I was a former classroom teacher. And I'll tell you how far back that goes. My first year was 79, 80. And I thought I knew everything then. And as I've gotten more mature or experienced, I've learned and learned so much more since then. Now, my claim to fame or my connection to real estate is I know a lot of people, but my son is a very successful real estate agent in Lexington with Berkshire Hathaway DeMoulin. In fact, I was at his house this morning, keeping my grandson, but told him I needed to leave and plenty of time to get here and be with you all. So again, thank you. I came to coaching after 30 plus years of doing everything I did. And, you know, I think God prepares you for things. So as I went into teaching, and then I went into 4-H youth agent and Mary Kay sales director, and I actually did get diamonds and cars, by the way, and all the things that I've done. I left my bank training job. I was the bank trainer for Whitaker Bank Corporation of Kentucky to start my own coaching and training business. So that's a little about me and my passion. If you were to ask me my area of expertise, I would ask a question, and if I could see all your hands lifted, then it would prove me out, and generally I'm right. How many of you have a problem addressing conflict? Yeah, that's what I thought. So yes, most people do, and it doesn't matter the industry. Wherever I am, that's pretty much the number one thing that comes up when we talk about challenges in the workplace particularly. But it's not just in the workplace. It can be with your family. It can be with your friends. It can be with clients. I bet sometimes you have some clients who are a little bit difficult to work with. So I think of myself sometimes, not just in the leadership world and business, but also as a communications coach, because I don't like to not be able to communicate or talk with or have a relationship with people. And I know how difficult it is. We work with people. It'd all be great if we didn't have to deal with people, right? So enhancing your skills with people development is really important to me, no matter what industry you're in. And, you know, why would anybody in real estate hire a coach? You don't hire a coach, you buy results. And really anybody hires me or a coach, any coach, because they want to be held accountable. Maybe they need a motivation. Sometimes I kick them in the butt professionally, not literally. And then the other thing is sometimes there's a fear or a roadblock, a stumbling block. There's something holding you back and you don't know what it is. The beauty of working with a coach is that everything's confidential. You work on the present, not the past. I'm not a counselor. Blake can talk to you more about that. And then also the piece about non-judgmental. You know, whenever I'm at the end of a coaching session, I say, what was most important to you? Having somebody to listen to me, talk it out, and I know you're not judging me. And another piece then of my business is that I also train, and I do leadership training, supervisor training, other things. I work with a lot of banks since that's my background recently. But the last thing I'll share with you right now is that I also use assessments in my coaching and my training. And the one that I love the most, you can't see my poster behind me, it's DISC, D-I-S-C. And I would love to make available to anybody who wants it, a free sample report so that you can see what happens in the DISC and how it teaches you to self-identify, how you behave with other people, how you could communicate better with other people, and so on. So I will stop there and see if we have questions later.
Very good. All right. Thank you, Karen.
You're
All right.
welcome.
Let's go over to my good friend, Marilyn Stevens. Marilyn, I know we've all heard of COVID-19, but I hear you've become an expert on the lesser known COVID-15. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Typically people think of it as the freshman 15 when they're home and they're going to college and they're eating the foods that they're put in front of them or whatever. You know, everybody knows about the freshman 15. Well, now we have the COVID-15 where you're basically in your home. You're not able to go out and do things like you typically do. You don't know what to do. You're stressed out and you're just eating things that, especially if you're a stress eater, you're going to be eating whatever is in front of you, whatever you typically focus on. And then all of a sudden the pounds begin to creep on, especially because if you happen to be used to going to the gym, And there are people that are self-motivators that will get up and run and do whatever they need to do to stay in shape. And then and regardless of whether they have to go to the gym. And then there are those folks kind of like me that if I can't go to the gym and have someone waiting on me to tell me what to do, then I don't do it. So I'm not that self-motivating. And so that happens to a lot of people where you literally begin to creep on the pounds, keep creeping on. And then you get stressed about that, and you get stressed because you're not feeling well. And then you watch the TV, like Dr. Jones had said, and all these things happen and they build up. And I'm here to just share with you that you can change that, and you can clean up your diet, and you can clean up very simply by just really getting rid of the toxic environment, the toxic foods. We can control the toxic foods that we eat. We can control, and that's one thing I'll get back into as well. But one thing that I will touch on as well is the mind and body connection, the gut health. Like 60 to 80% of our immune system comes from our gut. And it means that we really need to focus on probiotics, prebiotics, those type of things to feed our gut so that we have a great mind-body connection. There's an amazing mind-body-skin connection that is really in the forefront of studies nowadays. And those are a few of the things that I will touch base on. We'll just share with you some things that you can do at home, that you can the selections and choices of foods that you make, and whatever questions anybody has from there on. I have been, just a little bit about me, I have a master's degree in nutrition and food science, and I was a medical sales rep for 20 years for a major nutrition corporation. And then I have my own health and wellness business now, and my focus and my passion is helping people get healthy, and avoiding and finding foods that actually cause issues. And we do that with a 30-day program where you can identify what it is and how you can get better. And you know what works for you, because what works for me may not work for you. What works for Lamont may not work for me, and all those type things, it just may not work. We're all different bodies and different beings, but it's really, knowledge is so powerful in that you can actually know what, if you're getting ready to make that choice of eating that pizza, I'm going to either have heartburn or I'm going to be okay, whatever that is. So I like the knowledge and the power of that.
Good. All right. Thanks, Marilyn. Jacqueline Klein. Jacqueline, I've known you for many, many years as a real estate broker with Parker & Klein, a consummate professional, always calm, cool, and collected. But that's not always the case with most realtors. We're type A, we're go, 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 go. And tell us about how can a busy realtor in this business kind of slow down, calm down, meditate. I didn't know you were into a hypnotist. That's awesome. I never knew that. But what is the difference between meditation and being hypnotized, and how does all that work, and how can we use that as realtors?
Okay, so I will be glad to answer that in 30 seconds or less, right?
Yeah, right.
I came to hypnosis and meditation through a typical, like Blake said, real estate agent lifestyle, 24/7, always on. Realizing that I had a fabulous life, successful business, but was not happy. I was completely stressed out all the time, and I didn't quite understand how to get a handle on it. So I started with meditation. I am completely control, perfectionism, type A personality, and never thought that I could calm my mind enough to experience benefits of meditation. But I tried. I was willing to stick with it. I had to do something. And as I worked through that process, after about 2 or 3 months, I was noticing results, not while I was sitting there, but in my day-to-day interactions with people. I was less stressed out. I was more calm. I had a different wavelength going on in my brain, and people were commenting to me about the differences they noticed in me. And so I did have an experience with hypnosis, going under hypnosis, and the realization that that's like meditation on steroids. So meditation is really a function of just calming your mind for a minute, centering your focus, and not necessarily trying to get everything out of your mind, but allowing yourself to remain in the moment. And hypnosis is that, guided by another person, by a hypnotist, for a specific purpose. So it's a narrowed focus using your imagination and your creativity in your subconscious mind, and being in the moment and allowing that rest and relaxation to come through. It's setting aside the critical mind, which is the gatekeeper, the one that kind of controls and makes sure that everything is okay, kind of sits that to the side and lets it take a break for a moment to get into the subconscious mind, which is where all of your belief systems, your behavior patterns, and your emotions are held. And your subconscious mind guides almost 90% of your actions. Your conscious mind really only has about 10% effect. So if you can set that aside and get right to the subconscious, that's where you can make change.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Jacqueline. Daryl Turpin, we've talked a lot about coping and eating and overindulging, but a lot of my friends, not me of course, have joked a lot about overindulging in other ways, such as alcohol and things like that. It starts off fun and funny. I would imagine that that can turn into a serious issue down the road. Is that something you're familiar with in your practice?
Absolutely. I think that is alcohol and drugs as a coping mechanism with psychosocial stressors that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. Let me back away from that, and I'll come back to that. There's been a beauty, if we can find a silver lining in this pandemic, is that that I see families and friends finding unusual and sometimes even peculiar ways of networking and connecting with one another. Whether it's connecting with old friends, whether it's connecting with relatives, figuring out ways through Zoom and other platforms to connect with community. And I think that's been really, really good. It's been also a way for, I've seen and heard people talk more about being introspective, examining themselves and doing things to take better care, self-care of themselves, and eating better and exercising more and meditating more, trying to do things to not only take care of their physical health, but even their mental health and spiritual growth as well. So I've been seeing a lot of that, but on the other side, in dealing with these stressors, the stressors of a lot of folk I talk to who are dealing with economic insecurity. That's a huge one. Social isolation is big. Dealing with uncertainty about health, physical health issues. When we have those type of psychosocial stressors, a lot of times folk do resort to things like drug and alcohol use. Unfortunately, one of the biggest booming, or fortunately, but depends what business you're in, alcohol, liquor, the liquor industry is booming right now. And liquor stores have been declared as a necessity industry. And I literally, because when I drive to certain areas, I see lines because they're trying to do some liquor stores are doing the social distancing thing now, where they're only allowing certain people in the amounts of people in liquor stores, but you see now lines outside of liquor stores. And while if you're in the liquor industry, and I'm not preaching abstinence and total abstention from alcohol, but I do believe that we have to be careful with that. And that is a sign that we have to look for when we're dealing with our loved ones, not only for ourselves. We're really going to have to put, it was kind of funny at first, people were toasting, hey, COVID-19, let's have a drink. Okay, that was fun and laughter. But we do know that patterns of behavior can turn into addiction. And for those who were potentially borderline on that cuff anyway, maybe at this time, overindulgence could tip them over into addiction. And we have to be careful with that, not only with ourselves, but we need to be also on the lookout for our younger people, our teenagers that are in our homes. We could be more watchful and mindful with our friends and other family members that we're linking and connecting with. We could also just be mindful of other ways of dealing with psychosocial stressors that are very different with this pandemic, are playing out in a very different way with the certain insecurities that have arisen because of this. That drugs and alcohol could be a crutch that people turn to. So we have to be mindful of that, not only with ourselves, but with our family, particularly with our younger folks, and with our community as well.
Good information. Well, thanks, Daryl. Back to Blake. Let's talk a little bit about first responders and maybe the risks that they're facing as a result of the pandemic. What are you seeing in that area?
Sure. Well, I'll comment about first responders and specifically police, because those are the main people that I work with. But I think this kind of will hit everyone here. They are in a trauma-based profession, so they see things that none of us see. So again, if you're in a relationship with with a first responder, they may know and see things on a daily basis that they don't want you to hear about. That's very scary to them, and they sure don't want to put that on you. So they tend to kind of isolate themselves. They tend to hang out with only other police officers, which leads to a problem. One of the ways I educate myself about police is I do a lot of ride-alongs. I've done probably 30 ride-alongs at all hours of the day and night. And I don't know if you've ever gone 120 miles an hour in a car before. It's absolutely terrifying. I mean, and not on a highway. I'm talking about like on New Circle Road, kind of twice the speed limit. It's terrifying. And first responders tend to stay in that kind of hyper-vigilant state. So the danger is everywhere. And so that can be exhausting to them as well. Showing signs of emotion can be seen as a sign of weakness. And I'll talk to the men on this call because I can do that because I am one. A lot of men see showing signs of emotion as weakness. And I really try to work with the guys in my practice to deal with that, because I think that's absolutely wrong. That stuff goes somewhere in your life. There's high levels of alcohol use, as Daryl mentioned, just in the general population, but in first responders in general. There's a high suicide risk among them as well. Twice as many police die from suicide as are killed in the line of duty every year. And that's something that we have to talk about. And then finally, sleep is hugely important to them and very difficult for them, as I'm sure it is for a lot of you.
Very good, very good. Marilyn, what are some things that realtors right now can do to you can't get in the gym, maybe you don't have the weights and all that at your home. What are some things that we can do, just maybe if we're at our office, or if we can get to our office, or if we're just in our family room? Are there certain workouts or things that we can do to work up a sweat and still social distance?
You can certainly do that and work up the sweat on that end by just, there's a lot of things on social media that you can plug into. I believe the YMCA's got some social media things. I actually did a Google search I was looking for a PYO class, and I found one, and I was able to do, and that's Pilates and yoga together. And that's a way of literally mind, body, health kind of focus is, yoga and Pilates, that type of thing. But it's something you don't even need to have things to do. You don't have to have a lot of equipment. You just have to have the focus of, yes, I need to do this. And you got to have that it's really making you think of the self-discipline is the word I'm looking for, of making sure that you do those things and getting out and walking even. And as I'm saying this, Steve's sitting there laughing because he says, yeah, when are you going to start doing that? And so I work. He's an exercise. For those who don't know, he's my husband. So he's actually, the exercise guru, and I'm the one that does the yoga because I don't like to sweat. But that's still a good mind-body health connection there as well. One thing you can also do, and that I think is even more important, is what you eat and what you put in your body. And we want to focus on things that are not toxic. And anything that is a toxin is anything that goes into your body that your body cannot use for energy. So you start reading labels when you go to the grocery store, and you want to make sure that you understand exactly what's in those, that ingredient list. If you find a spaghetti sauce and you don't want to make it at home, you find that spaghetti sauce that has words that are chemicals that you don't know what it is, just put it down and go find another one that does. And there's a lot of options that we have in the grocery stores these days because that have a very limited amount of ingredients. They're really focusing on getting away from the chemicals and the toxins. So become a label reader, shop the perimeter of the grocery store, and get the foods that are whole foods, and become a whole foods kind of person to eat. You can do protein shakes and add food to those protein shakes. Be careful with what kind of shake you're looking for, because you got to read the ingredient label on that as well. Everything you put in your body, you need to really kind of know what it is. I also encourage people to focus on making their own food, and that you're at home. And if you haven't been a cook, all your life, it's time to start, and it's a good opportunity to get started. And when you cook at home, you know what's going in your food. When you go out to eat, you maybe not know that. Yeah, we need to support the local restaurants and bring things home, but you also use this as an opportunity to literally feed wholesome food and whole foods to your family. Avoid the junk foods. I was on a vacation this past summer. I tell this story all the time. And I was getting a massage, and the lady and I were talking about health and wellness. And she said, I had somebody in my office, or was getting a massage the week before, and she worked for Frito-Lay. She was a chemist, and her job was to find a chemical that was odorless, tasteless, that could be sprayed on food that would cause people to eat more. And that's what our food industry is doing to us. And what my passion is like sharing that information. When I was getting my master's degree in food science, I took an additives class. And just so you guys know that the additives are given a GRAS status, and that stands for GRAS. That stands for generally recognized as safe. So what's wrong with that? It's just generally recognized as safe. It's not safe. They think it might be. They may not be. So when you add all of those nutrients, and not nutrients, but those chemicals in your body day in and day out, and you have an overabundance of them, our body is really smart in that it wants to put those toxins away from the vital organs, because it's not using them up because it's something that our body can't use for energy. So it's going to be stored or released using the liver, the kidney, the skin, the lungs, which are detoxifying organs. And so what happens then, our body's smart, it wraps fat cells around those toxins, and then it parks them away from your vital organs. That's where you see the belly fat, the hips, the thighs, the rear end. And then as it goes up, as it continues to grow, it's not getting released. So my focus is to have people focus on getting clean, and eating healthy. And then when that happens, then the extra weight will just literally slip off, because you really want to focus on detoxing your body and not keeping to retox it by eating how you're eating and such. So if you go on a weight loss diet and it's all about calories in versus calories out, you will lose weight because it's a mathematical equation, and that is what happens. But if you lose weight and you don't address the toxins, you have a higher concentration of toxins. Your body at that point will then go back into fat making mode over time. And then you end up having that obesity again, or the weight is gained again, and it's literally a yo-yo. So if you address the toxins by cleaning up your diet, that's going to be a first step in the right direction.
Good. So just to clarify, is salsa a vegetable?
It can be. Yeah, if you make it at home and you put your tomatoes, your jalapenos, yes, onions, absolutely. Hey, not all food is bad. Seriously, not all food. Guacamole you can have guacamole that's clean and delicious and good. Yeah, eating healthy is not is not bad. It's not fun. It's actually more fun and changing your taste. And then literally just takes a few weeks, not even just a few weeks. I've had people that literally have changed. They feel better once, like within days of, literally making that switch.
Great. All right. Thank you. Karen Butcher. So realtors, we're in the ultimate relationship business. And it's hard for us not to, be around people, to be networking and that type of thing. What are 2 or 3 tips or things that realtors can be doing while they're at home to keep in front of their sphere of influence?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you for that. Can I just go back and follow up on some of what Marilyn said? Because I'm going to do that and then I'll get back to this question. But when I realized I had gained the COVID-19, I had a reality check about a month ago. I'd met Marilyn just a few weeks before that. And I called her and I said, help me. And so I've been doing some work with Marilyn. And thank you, Marilyn. It's very helpful. I'll get on the scales Monday. Enough about that. Okay. So what I want to say about this, I asked my son, what are you doing now? Because he's still selling. There's still people who want to buy and they want to sell, as you all well know. And there are still, I guess, not as much inventory as you'd like to have. So here are some things I do at home. Once I realized I'd gotten totally undisciplined, once I realized I was staying up late, I was, sleeping late, eating to gain the COVID-19, I thought, you know what, you've got to get back to real life. So I started purposely writing down office hours, setting office hours for myself, because I'm not a real disciplined person. And my business virtually went in the tank, not totally, but for the most part, because I'm usually in front of people. Now my coaching I do on the phone, but my training, I'm generally on site. I connect with people, they connect with me, and we get the results. So, what I've started doing is, and thank you, Jacqueline, I meditate, and I want to talk to you later about hypnosis. Maybe that's for the COVID-19, Marilyn. No, not really. But what I've been doing is, I start my day with my spiritual work. I get into the office at an appointed time. And because I'm not connecting with people as much, I've been reading some of those business books or other books that have been on my shelf for a long time. And then I've also been staying connected with people by offering free coaching. I want to add value to people, just like you real estate agents probably, I want to show a house, I want to sell a house, whatever the case might be. So I offer free coaching. And by the way, that's through May 31st. Did you say shameless promotion, Blake? I'm not ashamed. Let me just tell you, I'm at a point, I am not ashamed to promote myself. But the other thing that I've been doing, I'm not a blogger, and I guess I'm a little bit afraid of blogging because I don't think I have anything to say. But I have been sending out, I guess, like a monthly promotion of here's what I do, here's what I can offer type of thing through, and you all may know more. I've been learning about so many software programs that are free, but it's called Emailer Lite. And I'm not a big newsletter person. I'm just a one-pager, but if you're not familiar with Emailer Lite, I think that's a great program so that you can stay in front of people. So, and I'm doing a lot of Zoom, and I've learned about breakout rooms and polling and keeping people engaged. But then just this morning, one of the things that I said was, God, how can I better serve you? And so, I got this list of things that I can do that still have to do with people. I'm in the people business just like you all are. So I think it's a matter of how do I continue to learn and grow? I loved Blake's graphic that he showed. I'd love to have that. How do I learn to continue to learn and grow? But the other thing is, it's a gift. As my son said, I realize the value of family, but now I realize the value of time with my family. So I think that's going to change the way he works in the future.
Good.
Is that helpful?
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. All right. So I want to remind everybody, if you go to kyrrealtors.com and click on the COVID section, we will have this program up on there, and we'll also have a clean picture of that graphic that everybody can use as well. Jacqueline, talk to me about the mechanics of hypnotism. I think of this. How does that work? Let's say I want to get with shameless self-promotion. Now, let's say that I wanted to come and have a session with you. What are the mechanics of that?
Well, technically, you all are in a trance right now. You just don't know it.
That explains a lot.
It's very simple. It's a point of you coming in, you relaxing down, just being willing to rest and relax in place. And then I start using a speech pattern that just starts releasing and relaxing you down. Further every breath down, relaxing down until you're hit a spot that I can tell by your physiology that you are mentally and physically relaxed. And then we can start get to business on goals that you might want to achieve, whether it be quitting smoking, less alcohol consumption. Daryl, there's so many ways to work it. Working through processing through anger and stress. Just stress relief is a definite point to work with in hypnosis. And what I would like to say with my little specific time is I'm passionate about stress and anxiety because I've experienced it personally and have been able to work through that myself. So I'd like to give you a couple of tools that you can use as a layperson on your own. You don't need anyone else. After you're shown how to do it for yourself, that's the beautiful thing. You can do it for yourself. And the first thing is, if you can get control of your breath, you can absolutely take control of your mind and your body. You'll get it back. Navy SEALs know this. Lamont's class knows this. So if you can Google online 4-square breath or victory breath, the police officers call it that, military, just whatever. But it's a method of breathing that you do repeatedly: 4 up, 4 in, rest for 4, down, release out for 4, and hold for 4. And just keep doing that. And if you experience yourself in that fight or flight or that stressful situation, stay with your breath until you feel a shift, until you feel like you've gotten a little more control. And from there, you can move out of that fight or flight response into a more prefrontal cortex thought process. Now you can start seeing the situation, because the situation is not in and of itself what's stressful, it's our reaction to it. So if you can change your reaction to what's happening, you can eliminate and reduce your stress. And even if you can get a 10% grab on it, a 10% reduction is huge, right? So everybody expects, well, I want to get rid of stress entirely. No, stress is beneficial and helpful to a degree. It's when we constantly stay in that stress mode. And to Blake's point of seeping yourself and steeping in this death rate and all of the negativity of the COVID, that creates the nervous system, a stress in the nervous system that we're not even aware of. And so when you can minimize stress in those ways, that's helpful. So 4-square breathing, monitor your social media and what you put into your brain, because that has an effect. Meditation is helpful. And I do a Thursday night meditation since COVID started for the group of people that I've been working with, and it's free. It's for an hour every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. And if you go on Zoom and you write, the login is my phone number. So if you join a meeting and use this meeting code, it's 502-802-6752. You'll be able to join that meeting, and it's just for an hour, and I guide you through a meditation. You can experience it yourself, and you won't have the full experience of hypnosis, but you will absolutely get into that meditative state and have an experience of relaxation for an hour that you really deserve. And that's every Thursday night. I don't know when I'll quit, but it's just something that I feel the need to do for people to help. And that's another point of a stress reduction, is get outside of yourself. When I help other people, I'm in the zone. I'm feeling good. You can't be stressed and be somewhere else at the same time. You can't be extremely happy. Your brain doesn't work this way. You can't be extremely happy and totally sad all at the same time. It's one or the other, and you get to choose. So you can let your mind control your body, or your body control your mind. And I'll say that when we experience these stressors or any physiological issue, it's a reach toward a solution. It's a signal, wait, there's something wrong. So use that to your benefit to understand, this is the moment to take my breath. This is the moment for pause, so I can get a grab and actually choose how I'm going to feel and what I'm going to think. So 4-square breath, meditation, gratitudes, writing down gratitudes and journaling. going outside of yourself, helping others, and music. Pay attention to the type of music. You can elevate your mood just through music alone, and movement and exercise. Steve ran this morning. Man, that's a huge help. It increases all of those good, feel-good endorphins. So sorry, I just went on, but I wanted to make sure that you guys got those tools for yourself to use as you move through your day. You don't go visit this. You just start incorporating them in your day.
Good. Now that number again, 502-802-6752.
No, that was actually 867-5309.
Eight.
No, that wasn't.
Yes, you had it right,
I know
Lamont.
that song.
Sorry.
Let's sing now.
Write that down.
We'll all start drinking.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jacqueline. That was awesome.
And I want to talk to Daryl about the stop. I stopped drinking 8 years ago. Game changer, total life game changer for me. It's amazing. The clarity that you get from that.
Yeah. Can I comment, echo what Jacqueline is saying, the importance of what she's saying. You know, I provided oversight as a coordinator and a treatment director of the drug court. The first one that started in Kentucky was in Louisville. And early on, we had seen this research. I can't remember this physician's name out of Brooklyn, New York, who saw that through meditation and even acupuncture, meditation, acupuncture, and music as a way to relieve many of the anxiety or the detox of cocaine, and to relieve many of the symptoms that come from detoxing from cocaine were reduced by this. And we saw amazing results from that. And even though it was not acupuncture and meditation and those types of things aren't traditionally considered necessarily best practice in the substance use disorder field, but in my work throughout the years, those aspects have been amazingly impactful with people. Even today, when I'm counseling people who have been diagnosed with substance use disorder, morning meditation is always at the top of my list. To start your day in your a day at a time in your sobriety, morning meditation and prayer is an integral part of maintaining your sobriety and ongoing recovery. So I think in general, we can incorporate those practices, as Jacqueline is saying, into our lives, period. Even if you're not suffering from a substance use disorder, but incorporating those things in our lives as part of living a healthy life. Our spiritual, we have to be holistic to grow and to be balanced spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, as well as physically. And I think the things that she just outlined are just pivotal in that balance. So thank you for that.
Yeah, Daryl, is Pinwheel Group, is that what you all do there? Or what all does the Pinwheel Group do?
Well, what we do is we develop interventions, we develop curriculum. And in our curriculum, we develop what we consider a holistic curriculum, and meditation is a part of that. Before they start each session, they are to start off with meditation, because the populations that generally I work with probably have been diagnosed with other, with comorbidity, mental health issues, substance use disorders. And I work with adolescent populations as well as young adult populations. So we strongly suggest before you start these sessions, which are more cognitive-based interventions, before you start these sessions, please start with meditation in order to get the group, these are group therapy interventions, to get the group centered, to get them focused, to get them all on one accord, and to sort of reduce some of the attention deficit disorders that many of them probably may have those diagnoses as well. But I just think that that these things are just going to be, these things are important when you're working with not only those who have these diagnoses, these comorbidity mental health diagnoses, but I think just in our lives, period, in trying to live a holistically healthy, balanced life. Meditation and things like acupuncture and things like hypnosis, which is I think is another piece to this. And like I said, these are things that have been considered sort of unconventional because they're more Eastern. Our Western medicine doesn't necessarily support these types of things, but we do know most providers will tell you anecdotally that these methods are important to maintaining the sobriety and the stability of people who have these diagnoses.
Good. All right, great. Thank you, Daryl. Well, we're closing in on 1 hour, so I'm just going to ask our panel, just open it up if you all have any final thoughts or questions or things you want to say or to each other or to share with the group. Anybody?
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Let me ask you real quick, if you're on, Jacqueline. Let's say I wanted to try meditating on my own. I mean, it's not, I've tried it. It's not as simple as just going in a room and turning off your phone. Other than the breathing and that type of thing, what's the best way to get started for dummies?
So I will encourage that to give up the perfection aspect of feeling like you have to have this thing happen to you while you're in meditation. That's probably not going to happen. It happens very infrequently, even for me now. So a guided meditation where someone's walking you through and talking to you there are plenty of free apps, Insight Meditation Timer, somebody put up Calm. I happen to like 10% Happier. It's a Dan Harris app, sponsored app. He was a NBC correspondent or one of the big channel correspondents, had an anxiety panic attack on camera. And he has a lot of good programs on that, but let someone guide you. You sitting there trying to quiet your mind on your own in the beginning is very difficult. It's just very, I don't want to say impossible, but difficult. So choose something that's guided. Start with 3 minutes. Don't go 20 minutes. Start with 3 minutes, work up to 5, then move up to 10.
That's exactly what I did. I totally agree with you. I did this a couple of years ago and it was a complete game changer. I get up early in the morning and I started with Headspace, and then I transitioned over to Calm, and it's really good. I really like that. So.
And choose a time of day that's good for you. I have some people that say, the only time I get to myself is when I'm in the potty. I've got 3 kids and cats. It's like, go in the potty then. Who said you can't do this in the bathroom? Or in your car, in carpool line, or in between clients. If you can do this before you're headed to an appointment and get yourself clear, it's amazing. That's the best way to open yourself to communication with other human beings, is to get yourself smooth. And if you can do that before a troublesome conversation of any kind, you're going to be better than you would have been if you never took that action. And it's free. You have it with you. It's already inside of you to be able to pull out.
I wanted to follow up on what Daryl had said about Eastern medicine versus Western medicine. There's some things it's called, I say this wrong all the time, Ayurvedic medicine, but it's more like adaptogens. And fix my pronunciation if you can. But it's literally all about what you can feed your body and such, more focused on, instead of getting our Western medicine, they throw a pill on it. And they don't really focus on the why you're doing things. And we need to stay away from medications as much as possible. If you give your body what it needs, your body can heal itself. That's a mind, body, skin, all of that is wrapped up together. There's something called adaptogens, which are herbs that will help you adapt to stress. And ashwagandha root and saffron is one of the things that really has an impact on the de-stressing and the calming of the mind. And there's studies out there that show that. So look for ashwagandha as well as just the adaptogens in general. So.
Good. Anybody else? Closing comments.
I just want to say amen to that, Marilyn.
Thank you, Daryl. I think all the panelists are all on the same page, which I think, so it's good.
We will have a lot of these comments and some of these apps and websites and all that. We'll put it on our KYRRealtors.com COVID page for you all to reference.
The meeting time is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. So tonight at 7 EST, and using that phone number on Zoom. Someone type that in.
Gotcha.
Last chance, panelists. Thank you all for being here with us. It's been great, very enlightening.
Question, Jacqueline, is there a password for that?
Nope. I'm hoping no one bombs me. I don't put it out in public anywhere, and I think you all are okay. So no password
gotcha.
needed. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
To clarify, is it okay to put it on our COVID page?
Yes, yes, I think we'll be fine. I can cut someone out if I need to.
Okay. Well,
I got bombed last night. It was really crazy. I got bombed last night.
Well, did you put it publicly? I know we're shutting down, Lamont. Sorry, you don't matter anymore. Hang on.
Yeah, it was not public at all.
Oh my gosh.
Where this guy came from. Anyway.
all right. Well, again, thank you all for being here. Lester, President Sanders, I'm going to throw it back to you to close us down.
Well, I think you've already closed it down by saying thank you. And everyone, we really appreciate you giving of your time. And I spoke with Jacqueline the other day, or maybe we text, and she was just excited to do it. When Steve talked to Marilyn, we got a quick yes. And so, Karen, we appreciate your thoughts, and we appreciate how you go out and coach and support the real estate industry as well. And Daryl, when I called you, you were, hey, certainly this is important, especially in the here and now. So thanks everybody. We appreciate you giving your time to the realtors today, because this is something that we're passionate about. We're passionate about our health, our wellness. And so thank you for being with us.
And Daryl, I'm going to tell on you for a minute if you're still there.
Yes.
So Daryl was class of 1979 at Atherton High School. And I was class of 82. So he was a big deal back then. And I look back in the yearbook, he got best personality. So there you go.
Yeah, that's true.
That's an awesome legacy.
Thank you, Lamont. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.